they'll just fucking want to take the First Amendment and wipe their ass with it and like spit in the face of capitalism because they want women to be like financially more dependent on them. You don't find successful people that don't have something driving them, something either like mental anguish or like some sort of, you know, like physical or emotional abuse or something like that. Yeah, exactly. You can do whatever you want to, whatever you're comfortable with.
Whatever you want. You set your limits, you set your boundaries.
No one's telling you what you can or can't do. Dating a really hot high performer, it seems so good on paper, like absolutely. A rich, successful, good-looking guy, or like a girl who does acrobatics and has like a perfect body, fucking sign me up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you really don't know what you're getting into until you date a high performer and you're like, oh, this is...
What dating really is it's showing the person that you like the most in the world the worst parts of you.
If they were to make a movie about you, you would have to like not tell the truth because it would seem too ridiculous. Right? It's just too outrageous. It's a trap. It's a trap. Come here, get in the podcast. Oh, this is our mascot. Look at this big boy. Oh yeah.
Girl.
Oh, look at this big girl.
Because it's too hot. But in the winter,
my goodness. Go on. You're so slobbery. Go on. You have a really unique backstory.
I do.
Yeah. Where are you from, first of all? And then how did this all happen?
Okay, well, I'm from Riverside.
Yeah.
That's an easy one to answer. How did this all happen is not...
Like, was this part of the plan? Did you come out to LA, like, searching to be this famous person?
No, not at all. I was a teenage missionary growing up.
Shut the fuck up.
I was meant to be a child prodigy. So my track...
Wait, you were one of those motherfuckers that would knock on my door and be like, what do you think about the movie? Okay.
Not Mormon, no. Good. I was Protestant Christian. I'm the first Western woman to go to Luero, Uganda.
Holy shit.
I worked in Rwanda, Kazakhstan, the Philippines, China. And I was like in it. Like, I'm talking like going upstairs to like be in like a little room and have like a secret service so that the government wouldn't find us, and demon exorcisms in the middle of...
Wait, was this back when like Joseph Kony was going around?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about though, right?
I actually wrote a book on it.
Of course you did. Yeah.
So the plan was...
You're a ridiculous person. You know that.
Yeah, no. So as a kid, I was super academic. I was the top student. I graduated college by the time I was 20 with highest honors. And I was speaking in churches. I was like being sent by churches around the world to speak.
Is your family Protestant? Is that how you got?
My mom is. Okay. My dad didn't let me go to church.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting dynamic.
Tell me about it.
I always joke that successful people, like you don't find successful people that don't have something driving them, something either like mental anguish or like some sort of, you know, like physical or emotional abuse or something like that. So
this is true. Anytime I meet a great artist, my first thing is, what's the mental health issue?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's never good, right?
It's never good. Yeah. All of us, everyone on my team, we've got issues. And that's why we're so good and why we have such a strict lifestyle.
We're all fucked up. That's why you're so successful.
Yeah, we're just trying not to spiral. That's literally it.
Being successful is just your coping mechanism to not melt down.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like what you said earlier. Everyone thinks like, I'm so busy, my career is the most important thing to me, like that's why, you know, I'm not like married and whatever, and it's like, no, I'm just trying to like get through day by day. Like I'm just trying to be a good person, and the only way I can do that is if I have a career that keeps me like somewhat sane. Yeah. Because like as my career, I'm lighting
this myself on fire. This is about emotional stability. This 100%. Isn't about
that's why I'm so successful.
What made you think that you could move from Riverside to Los Angeles? Or was this even part of the plan? Did you move out here like for a boy, or did you move?
No, my last year of college, you know, I was on track to go move to Africa and work with orphans. And my last year of college...
so Missionary was going to be like your career path.
That's what I wanted for myself. Okay. My dad wanted me in a business job, being really successful. I wanted to be like in the trenches, like helping kids, getting all dirty with mud, I don't know, like. Yeah. And then my last year of college, I was like, I kind of want to be a dancer in Hollywood. And like came out of nowhere. Random. I'd always done dance. Yeah. I'd always done gymnastics, but I just started watching TV shows. and was like, I wonder if that's like a real life you can have. And in my hometown, it was unheard of. It was absolutely not something that was real or feasible. And I just got fascinated with this idea and just felt in my gut like, I think that's supposed to be me.
Yeah, I don't feel like liberal arts is something you see a lot in Riverside.
Not at all. Yeah. Like, it was unheard of. One of my years in college, you know, was super Baptist, and I was super religious, but I would sneak off campus because I was in this like community theater doing Chicago. And so there's just apparently something unexplored in me. And one day I was like, I need to see what this is.
Okay.
Like, and then a lot of other shit happened.
So Chicago, was that happening in LA? Or was
that was in Riverside. It was like, It was just some little community theater thing. So then the day after I graduated college.
When you said Chicago, I was like, wait, is this like a musical I should know? Like
yes, it's
like Cats
such
or something?
Famous, yes!
Yeah, see, I'm such
oh
a
my
fucking...
God, Jesus. Okay, yeah, it's a great musical, a classic.
I'm such a brute. Like, a lot of the stuff I don't know.
So uncultured. Mm-hmm. It's okay.
I'm such an uncultured caveman.
Apparently. Then the day after I graduated from college, my dad was like, you either have to work in a business job for the next 5 years or you get out.
Of the house?
Of the house. And he's like, I'm not going to support you at all.
And you're like 18, right?
20 is after I graduated college.
Okay.
Pretty freshly 20s, you know. I wasn't allowed to work either, so it wasn't like I...
What do you mean?
So... Okay,
we can cut this.
It's okay. I'll simplify it in a way that doesn't expose too much. So my dad is from China, and I wasn't allowed to have a life as a kid.
Okay.
So my life was being in my room studying, and that was it.
So this is like prototypical Chinese academic.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But more extreme. So my whole life was supposed to be about academics.
Yeah.
And he loved me a lot, but he was insanely overprotective. So my childhood consisted of family dinners that lasted for 5 hours. I strongly believe he's manifesting that I become famous so that he can get his message out.
I mean, I feel like you need to be famous just so you can write this book about your backstory, because it's the most unbelievable. Like, if they were to make a movie about you, you would have to like not tell the truth because it would seem too ridiculous, right? It's just too outrageous.
No
real
dates.
person. Oh fuck. Oh yeah.
There's been a number of times I've been on a date and they're asking me questions about myself.
And you're like, I can't tell them this shit.
Yeah, but I say it anyways because I'm so blunt. So as I'm talking, I'm like, I swear I'm not lying, by the way. This is my real life. I know I sound crazy, like I'm making up a bunch of things.
Yeah.
This is actually what happened.
I hope I find out this is all bullshit. I'm like, that girl fucking got me.
I wish it was. Like, I'd be like, oh, thank God we're not as traumatized as we thought. So yeah, my childhood was just really intense. Me not working was more of just a Chinese thing. It's like you don't work so you can focus on your studies so you can get through as quickly as possible.
I mean, I don't think that's that crazy. I think that's actually pretty smart, to be honest.
So as we've come to realize, so I am great with my family now. I didn't talk to them for 6 years though.
Yeah. I see why that could
it was
be a problem for you.
Super intense. And the thing that my parents didn't realize when they had me is that I'm a really intense person and I'm an extremist. And if someone I love tells me something, I take it to mean they mean it because I don't say things I don't mean.
Yeah.
So when I have my parents saying like, hey, the world's ending. Hey, people are going to hell.
You're going to take measures to make sure that doesn't happen, right? Yeah. Extreme measures.
Extreme measures. Yeah. So my life was about, oh my God, I have to save everyone in the world.
Yeah.
Not only that, it was basically like a lot of psychological abuse that they didn't realize was happening, but and my dad is so intense. Like, he can talk for hours and he's very passionate, which is where I get it. But so I took it so serious and I was like, oh my God, I have to save the world. So I was on a mission, quite literally. And so churches were like, wow, this girl's amazing. Like, she's out here like saving the orphans. Soldier. Yeah. She's writing books. Like, you know, and I was like a force, you know, but also I wasn't allowed to have anything. I wasn't allowed to have boyfriends. I always had these boyfriends that were in love with me, trying to marry me. I wasn't allowed to see them. I wasn't allowed to
Even
really...
in your 20s?
So I got kicked out when I was 20. After that, I was homeless for a year, hopping from place to place.
Well, like staying with friends? Or?
No, different people in the church community would be like, you can come and crash, we have a spot. So the first place I went, I was a personal assistant for this family, and they had just torn down their bathroom, and they put like a carpet over it. And so they were hearing the stories of what I was going through at home, because it was starting to get really intense. Like, I was so much not allowed to have a life that like I wasn't allowed to shower, or well, I was being told that was the next thing that was going to be taken away. Basically, everything I love was always being taken away from me for being a good kid.
Yeah.
So I hit a point where like, once he told me I had to work a business job for the next 5 years and that would be my life, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Because I didn't have friends. I wasn't allowed to dance. I wasn't allowed to read novels.
You're just completely sheltered.
I was completely sheltered. I had no life outside of those four walls. And it just started to like really break me. Once the whole like no shower thing came up.
Whew. You were like, okay.
Yeah, then I was
Hold on.
I think something is not okay.
That's the final straw, yeah.
Yeah, because at first I was like, I just have a strict dad, you know. But then once like a basic human need was taken away, I was like, I think it's fair to say this is some level of abuse.
Did you have peers at this point or friends that would be like, yo, like this is not normal, or that gave you like some input as to like what was going on?
I did. It was very subtle things, because I also didn't talk too much about it.
Yeah.
Because like, what am I gonna say? But I made one comment.
You could tell that you could at least tell that it was abnormal enough.
Yeah.
Not to speak openly about it, because you could probably figure out that people would think it was strange.
Well, I knew I was like very to myself in high school. Like I was like the loner kid. I always carried my like 5 textbooks and had my glasses and just sat. I was shy and awkward and quiet.
Nerd, yes.
I was the nerd. But I had like maybe 3 best friends, and I could tell things were wrong. There were like maybe 3 key moments when I knew something was wrong. One was when I mentioned chemtrails, and at first, like, everyone's like, you're crazy, and then they saw them in the sky and they're like, oh, your dad might be onto something.
Yes.
The next was when I was at one of my friend's house, and she was talking about her wedding and how she would do her wedding and like all these like prom, and I was like, girl, like, I'm getting ready to like be a martyr in fucking Kazakhstan because I'm stressed the fuck out. Like, I can't think about prom and weddings. Like, I'm trying to think about how do I keep my dad out of hell, you know?
Yeah. And
then the third moment was prom. It wasn't that I wasn't allowed to go to prom, but
you just couldn't go with a boy.
Well, that for sure, but I just
go
wasn't...
by yourself like a fucking loser.
They wouldn't pay for it. Like, they wouldn't let me. Like, they were like, you can go, but we're not going to help you get there. So my friends all got together and like made prom happen for me, which was really sweet. But there was definitely enough for me to know, like, 1, something's wrong, and 2, something is wrong. Feels kind of wrong with me too. Yeah. So once the shower things happened, I was like. At that time, I was dating my boyfriend, and it was okay, or my future husband, and it was okay for me to be dating him. So he came and picked me up for church, and then after church, I looked at him and I said, "You can't take me back." And so I had him drop me off at my boss's house, and they had told me, they're like, "Look, it's a bathroom, but we have a spot for you, and we'll do whatever we can to help you." Jesus. So they got like a little futon in there, and so for 3 months I was living in a bathroom. So then I have complex PTSD.
From this?
From my childhood.
Just in general.
In general, yeah. Just from years and years of feeling like the world was ending and having everything I love taken away from me all the time. Yeah. And then 2, my dad's from China, so I'm constantly being told I'm not good enough. Sure. So like at this point, I'm fucked up. Like, I was by myself in the family's house one day, and I had a full-on breakdown for the first time. It was a full-on panic attack. I just started having intense flashbacks, and like I couldn't function. I couldn't breathe. And then for the next like 3 years, I had really bad complex PTSD that could just be triggered, and it was pretty bad. Not to mention I was homeless.
Well, yeah, this sounds like any one of these things happening to someone would be really difficult to take, and you had all these things happening at once.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot to handle.
It was a lot.
And this is why you're so successful. Yeah. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Truly, though. So yeah, that was and the churches were still sending me out places. So, it'd be like, 1 month I'm like in a bathroom, like trying not to have a breakdown. The next month I'm in the Philippines, sleeping on the floor, having pink eye because I was playing with all the kids, with a bunch of doctors around me being like, oh, well, I guess this is where I die.
Or Uganda, which is like ridiculously dangerous. Like that's incredible.
It was insane. I have a whole book on it. That place was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my life. And then
this is crazy. I knew that there were some things about your past that were really interesting.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was this much. I didn't realize that you had this like strange of a childhood.
It was, and that's what
it's starting to make sense.
You're
starting to make sense to me now.
Why
like,
I'm
putting
like
the
a
pieces
fantasy
together.
person.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I lived in a fucked up fantasy world.
Yeah. Wait, but you're allowed to date now, right?
I'm sure they wish I wasn't.
Probably. For the boys and girls out there?
Boys.
Just boys.
Fully straight.
For the boys out there, what's your relationship status?
I'm single.
Single. You hear that, boys? She's single. Hit her up.
Well, I would have rushed to hit me up.
Do you want to date a psycho? Yo, here she is.
It's really hard for guys to date me.
Yeah, so what is it like dating a high performer? You were in Miami for a little while.
I was.
Right?
Yeah.
How was dating in Miami?
I dated probably one guy.
Okay, and that was it. That's all it took. And then you moved back to LA.
Yeah. No, he moved, which is why we didn't keep dating. But I just did not like Miami guys.
Yeah.
The only time I dated was when I flew to Vegas or LA, and then I would have guys out here who would take me out. But I never really dated in Miami. They were not my style.
Do you think that there are cities, like I feel like big cities, especially like Vegas, LA, and Miami, they're all pretty challenging to date in. Well, what is it about those cities that makes the dating scene kind of challenging?
I think there's just a lot of attractive people, but there's also a lot of...
I agree with you 100% on this.
Yeah, there's a lot of attractive people, but there's also a lot of broken people and fucked up people and talented people, and it all kind of comes together. So
those people are usually all the same person.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of the most beautiful people in the world are beautiful because they're pretty fucked up.
Yeah, or they're high performers because they're kind of fucked up.
Yeah, 100. I think, and I'm saying this as someone myself. I think a lot of people in these cities, we've gotten successful because we're running from something. We've been really hurt. All the best performers have had their hearts shattered.
Totally.
For sure. This is what makes us good.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think that these cities are a bug light for really attractive people. And just dating attractive people is difficult.
Yeah.
They have options. They don't have to put up with bullshit. They are, especially since dating apps and stuff have come out, there's this kind of I can get someone else, right?
Yeah.
And then dating a high performer, they're probably not going to be able to give you as much attention as you want.
That's true.
You might have to be, okay with them not really spending time with you for a week or more, something like that. That can be really challenging. Yeah. And high performers are just fucking weird. They're just fucking weird.
For sure.
So you're gonna have to figure out if their eccentricities match your lifestyle.
The difficulty with being a high performer is that you are so successful and you're used to people being in awe of your success.
Yeah.
And in dating, what dating really is it's showing the person that you like the most in the world the worst parts of you.
Yeah.
And as someone who you've built a life on looking a certain way and being a certain thing and being held up so high, it's really hard to become vulnerable and say, hey, I'm not perfect. Here's all my baggage and shit that I've worked so hard to hide from the world, and now I'm just willingly gonna show you it.
Yeah.
That's so hard to do, especially as someone who's perfected, looking like they don't have any problems.
Oh yeah, your whole persona. Who's the famous singer? She has a persona. Oh my God, she's dating Jay-Z.
Beyonce?
Yes, Beyonce. So she has this persona she has like a whole name for it.
Yeah.
And it's like her stage presence. Because deep down, she's like kind of a shy person who is not super narcissistic. So it's strange for her to go out and perform like this ultra confident person in this giant costume.
Yeah.
And she had to develop a like second personality.
Yeah.
I think it's called like Sasha Fierce or something like that.
Oh, for sure.
In order to be able to do that. A lot of really popular performers, really famous performers have this alter ego that they have to develop. Because it is kind of weird, right? Doing all this weird shit publicly.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so funny too, because dating a really hot high performer, it seems so good on paper. Like absolutely. A rich, successful, good looking guy, or like a girl who does acrobatics and has like a perfect body, fucking sign me up.
Yeah.
But you really don't know what you're getting into until you date a high performer and you're like, oh, this is kind of shitty. Like there's a lot of stuff here that
okay, well, let's not get carried away. Like, there's good things that come with it too.
There are a lot of good things, but I think you have to be
you do have to be ready.
You have to be clear about what you want, right?
Yeah.
Where your boundaries are, what you're not okay with, what you are okay with. Because you definitely can find high performers are awesome, but you definitely have to know what you're getting yourself into.
It has to be, I mean, like with relationships in general, it just has to be a good match.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot easier for people who aren't in this world to date because there's less, everyone has their problems, but as a high performer, you got a lot more eyes on you, you have a lot more you have to kind of put up with.
Yeah.
So and that's why too, like I've met plenty of nice guys who take me out on a date and like, you know, there'll be one moment where they look me in the eyes and I'm like, oh God, like they're ready to marry me, you know? Yeah. I already feel that they're gonna put me up too high on a pedestal. And I don't want that because I know how far I can fall.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
So you're looking for those bad boys, not those nice guys.
Not bad boys, but I do tend to go for more troubled boys. What's your mental health issue?
I love that.
Like,
not bad boys, troubled boys. I love that. I love that spin. Yeah.
It's the truth because, you know, bad boys is this thing of like a guy who's gonna like, you know, just fucking a bunch of girls or whatever. That's not really what I'm going for, you know. I tend to fall for the ones who they're fighting to be their best, but just can't get there, you know? But that's what fucks me up, so it's not great. And that's why I'm single, like, you know? And I know I could easily be with a guy who's like, here, let me fix you, you know? Of course. But, you know, I don't really want somebody to fix me because I kind of like my mess, honestly. I kind of... You know, it's like you were saying about the alter ego. I have mine. I remember the day she was born. And like, I've learned, she used to be the one in charge, but I've learned to compartmentalize her. And she has her own box that I work really hard to keep her in. But I don't ever want to get rid of her. She's a part of me. And she was the part that saved me, honestly. Yeah. So, you know, and that's really hard to have that balance of this good, sweet girl and this fucking crazy bitch that's locked away inside, you know? So I
think it's so interesting. I think as a content creator, you really do have to have that. You have to have, there's parts of your personality that you need to crank up to a 10 if you want to be a successful, interesting content creator. But you can't just live your life at that with everything turned up to 10. You'd be a ridiculous person. You wouldn't be able to go anywhere. You wouldn't be able to go out to fucking eat, right? You would just be this horrendous asshole. So you have to be a normal, like, chill person, but know how to crank those values up to 10 whenever you're ready to like make content or something.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was only her for a few years. Yeah. And I had to really work to reconnect with my original self. And when I finally did, it was like I woke up out of a dream and I was like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, look at all these decisions I made and all these things I did. Like, I never would have done that. But there was this like,
it's not my fault, it's my alter egos. It's her fault. She
took over, like, and especially as like a little Christian girl that was like married, it was
right. This is the
insane.
most. This is the craziest part, right? Especially the kind of like content creation and modeling, and so it's very sexual that you do. Yeah. So for someone that was this Bible thumping Christian over in Uganda, like giving vaccines to like starving babies. And then now to be doing aerial acrobatics, catching yourself on fire, wearing very little clothing. These are two completely different people.
Completely different people. Like, could not
Are you still really religious?
No.
Okay.
No.
I feel like that would be too incongruent, right?
Yeah, there's certain things like that there's still like certain values I have, and because I went to a Baptist university, like I could get really deep really quick philosophically about how I think the world works. But ultimately, like, I do not subscribe to religion at all. Like, and I went through so much hurt also from the church because,
because Baptists, you guys read the Old Testament, don't you?
So strict. And so judgmental. So when I had my switch, like, I just got some awful messages from like women who knew me when I was 6.
Of course, who are still Baptist, right?
Who are still Baptist.
Of course.
Yeah. So I don't subscribe to religion at all because I can't handle the judgment. I think it's terrible. I think it really fucks people up. Because then, like, when I became a burlesque dancer, it was like I was getting all this hate messages about like being a stripper and like spiraling down to hell, and it's like I'm in the middle of a divorce right now.
Right. The last thing you need is a bunch of haters.
Yeah, it's
telling
like,
you you're gonna go to hell.
Even today, I still get people from back then being like, "Hey, you need to do this with your life and your career," and I'm like, what blows my mind is they don't even ask, "How are you?" That's what's crazy to me.
I'm willing to bet, too, these are people that haven't left their little town.
Oh, for sure.
They have probably been married. They have the same friends they had in high school, maybe college. Not to be mean, but these people have not done like much with their lives. They've probably never left the United States.
Yeah.
If they've left their state at all, they know very little about the world.
Yeah.
But they're perfectly fine passing a bunch of judgment on your complicated ass life, right? Even despite the fact they know nothing about life for the most part.
Yeah, it's so true. So yeah, I hate that, and it's.
I can't imagine why. Jeez.
Yeah, it really sets me off.
Would you get married again? Let me ask you this. What kind of, as a high performer, what kind of guy or what kind of relationship are you looking for? Are you still looking for a kind of a traditional monogamous relationship?
I am definitely monogamous.
Definitely monogamous.
I'm straight monogamous, traditional, very much so.
Okay. Are you looking to get married again?
I will not say that I would write marriage off forever.
Yeah.
I think if I met someone and we had been together for a long time and he wanted to get married, I would, maybe.
You'd consider it.
If I had kids, I would most likely get married. If I had kids, I would most likely get married.
Do you want to have kids?
I do, but I'm also okay if I don't. Okay. It was something I really, really wanted for a while. But I think I've kind of come to terms with the complications of my life to where if it's not, like, it's so important to me, if I get married, it has to be the right type of guy.
Sure.
And I'm not trying to force love in my life. Like, it happens or it doesn't. And so if I don't have the right partner, I'm not going to have kids, you know? If I fall in love with someone who does not want to be a dad, I would rather just be in love with that person, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I won't say that I wouldn't get married again, but do I want to? Not really. Like, I'd rather not.
Do you feel like your lifestyle, like the kind of content that you make and just, I don't know, your lifestyle in general is going to be a factor in like finding the kind of partner that you want? Like if you want a traditional monogamous relationship, maybe open to having children, maybe open to marriage, do you think that like OnlyFans or just being kind of a famous performer is gonna make that difficult?
Definitely, 100%. Yeah, it's definitely challenging. I don't think it's impossible, but
I don't think it's impossible either, actually, especially not in California.
Especially not. Well, I mean, and you know, I recently got out of something where I was dating a man who loved my career. Yeah. And was like very, like, we talked about having kids and everything. And I told him, I was like, look, if I have kids, I'm not going to go back to suburbia. Yeah. Like if I have kids, I want to raise them on a ship. And he was like, great.
Sorry, on a ship?
100%.
What do you mean a ship?
I would legit raise my children on a cruise ship or something.
Okay.
Like homeschool them. Would want my children to have a very full experience of a life where like they would get to kind of see the world, you know? Mm-hmm. And sometimes when I say things like that, I'm like, maybe it's good I'm not a parent, like, because kids do need stability, you know? And I'm not the most stable person when it comes to staying in one. So,
how would that work though? Would you continue to try to work, or would you be okay being a stay-at-home mom, give up your wild lifestyle, fucking delete your Instagram, all that? Like, how would that work?
If I'm being completely honest, I think people ask me a lot, well, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
Yeah.
And if I'm being completely honest, I kind of want what's meant for me to come to me. And rather than sitting here and, you know, I've done the whole, like, let me like write it all down and manifest it.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of at the point where it's like, what is supposed to be mine will find its way to me. And so whatever that is meant to look like, I'm game, you know, but it has to resonate and sit right with me. Okay. I do know I'm monogamous, you know, I'm not trying to do the open shit.
You have some boundaries.
Yeah,
it sounds like
there's
you're not trying
things,
to
like,
be a unicorn for some poly couple.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, I'm not trying to be with a woman either. It's not my thing,
Sorry,
you know.
ladies.
Sorry, ladies.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to like, what kind of a life would I have? I think the important thing is that I find a man I'm in love with. That's a good man.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'm open to whatever possibility that makes sense for both of us. And if that means, you know, me deleting everything and starting fresh and having a whole new life experience where I am just a mom, cool.
Yeah.
And if that means we never have kids and wander the world forever, cool. But, you know, I think the way that I see it is when I was 20, and of course, what do we know when we're 20? But even
Nothing.
so.
Yeah, not shit.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But when I was 20, I was married and I wanted to be a missionary in Africa. And I loved my husband so much. And I don't know about him, but I have changed into such a different person. Like,
yeah, of course. Jesus Christ.
I never would have thought. Like, I didn't care about money. I didn't care about fame. I didn't care about looks. Like,
yeah.
I would wear like, I was the least stylish person ever, you know?
Yeah.
And so, to me, it's like, and I think that's my hesitancy with getting married is, how am I supposed to know who I'm going to be in the next decade?
Yeah, no, especially not when you're 20. My God.
Yeah.
I think I was like borderline retarded until I was like 30. Granted, I think women develop emotionally faster than men, but yeah, it blows my mind when people get married in their early 20s because you don't even know who you are as a person. I don't understand how you can pick a partner forever and expect that you guys won't grow apart. And I think that's why, I mean, the marriage statistics are abysmal. I think the worst one I've seen is that 90% of divorces are initiated by women if they're college educated.
Interesting.
90%. I think a lot of that stems from they don't know what they're getting themselves into with marriage. They're with someone for 5 or 6 years. Their life is pretty miserable. And they're like, do I want to be with this person for the rest of my life and have a shitty life? Yeah. Or get divorced and find someone new. And when they're college educated, they can. They don't need them for finances.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And that's honestly one reason why I don't know that I would delete my OnlyFans. It is very important to me to meet someone who's okay with my job. Like, I don't love OnlyFans. Like,
yeah.
When I go live, I'm not sitting there like, oh, whatever. I don't know what these girls do, okay? Like, I can't. It's not me. Like, I'm literally on my live just like in a bikini stretching and talking about like the dumbest shit and just being myself, you know, which I think is why it works, because it's authentic, you know, and I'm not sitting here trying to get you off.
Dude, like, one of the models, Cherry, do you know her?
No.
Okay, so it was one of the models that started coming to our events a long time ago, and she would go live on, I don't know, Kick or something like that, and the videos that I would see of her, they were like blooper videos. She'd be like cooking something, and she'd be smoking a joint, and she would like spill the fucking cake on her, and they were so funny, they were authentic. she was just being like this clumsy little nerd. And it was like adorable and funny. And like, I don't know, she would have like compilation videos of like all the shit that she fucking spilled. She would like cut the flour bag open and like look inside and like blast flour.
My God.
And these were like totally accidental. She was just totally clumsy. People like to watch that stuff.
People love it. Like, yeah,
Have you seen Ridiculousness, the show?
No, I haven't.
Okay, this show is literally just about people like falling, or like skaters wrecking, or somebody like fucking trying to cook and like their oven explodes, or something. It's like bloopers, like life bloopers. It is one of the best shows ever. I think it's one of the highest rated shows out there too. Just because people love watching people fuck up, right? Or like be silly.
Yeah, and people apparently love a hot girl being silly, you know?
Yeah, of course.
I just like, I'll just sit there and talk to them, and, you know, it works. So, but going back to what I was saying, like, I wouldn't delete my OnlyFans for a relationship. Only because
you're giving up your, like, a huge financial stability, like, aspect of your life,
and that terrifies me.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, it's not about anything other than I just want to feel safe. And if I'm honest, I've never had a man make me feel safe.
Yeah.
So maybe like if that were to happen, I would. But you know, and I made this point to my friend the other day. I was like, even if I was with a great guy who loved me amazingly and was like, I'm gonna take care of everything, what if he dies, you know?
Yeah,
and then what do I do?
Or what if he ends up being a dick and now you're literally stuck, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't have an option to leave.
I think that's
your
scary.
options are, There's a lot of really traditional men. These are men that will talk endlessly about the Second Amendment and how important it is. They'll be hardcore capitalists. But then they'll be like, oh, we got to get rid of OnlyFans and porn, right?
Yeah.
They'll just fucking want to take the First Amendment and wipe their ass with it and like spit in the face of capitalism because they want women to be like financially more dependent on them. Or whatever. They have a philosophical opposition to like porn or something. But honestly, I think it's awesome. Like porn used to be basically run by men. Right? They got all the money. The women were doing like all the drudge work. Now women have like taken porn or whatever, OnlyFans. They're in control, and now men are pissed about it. Right? Men never complained about it before, but now that women are in control of it, now men are like all up in arms about it. I think it's fucking hilarious.
Well, and that's what I do love about OnlyFans is that it's kind of the first time the woman is in control.
Yeah, exactly. You can do whatever you want to, whatever you're comfortable with.
Whatever you want. You set your limits, you set your boundaries.
No one's telling you what you can or can't do.
And it's a really like wonderful tool, you know? You just have to know your boundaries, but if you know your boundaries and you have it set up in a way that works for you, it's kind of great. And so, you know, and I think a lot of men, they want this really simple, sweet, easy girl. I mean, that's not going to be me.
I think this is one of the things that triggers me about red pill ideology. I think they want a really young, kind of naive girl who is financially dependent on them and is also like really impressed by the like trappings of success. They need her to be kind of like easily manipulatable, right?
That's exactly what they're looking for.
Because then they want to be able to cheat on her or be in a one-way open relationship. But they need this girl to really not have like too many opinions. Right, to push back against it. It's such a weird, they just want like a bang maid. When they're asked, hey, like, what are you looking for in a woman? They'll be like, oh, like I want her to be loyal, to cook and clean, and to just like not be drama. And then when you're like, oh, like, do you care if she's smart or like financially successful? They're like, no, don't care at all about money. They will pick up a barista from Starbucks, right? They don't care about intellectual compatibility, emotional connection. None of these things matter to them at all. They just want essentially like a young bang maid. That's like what they're looking for in a partner. It's so fucking weird to me.
Well, and the real problem is that this is how abuse starts, you know?
Yeah, right. Could you imagine being a 21-year-old girl dating a 45-year-old red pill guy who's like holding finances over your fucking head?
Yeah, I mean, even for me, being a 21-year-old girl married to a man I loved was.
How old was he?
Same age.
Okay.
Same age. He was definitely not one of those.
You can't be a 21 as a 21-year-old man.
Yeah.
Even if you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Super broke.